Welcome back. So to finish up some of the slides from the muscle contraction slide deck, a few definitions. Isokinetic. Iso means constant. Kinetic is movement or velocity. So this is defining a constant velocity of contraction. It can be a constant velocity during a concentric contraction or an eccentric contraction. Some machines that do isokinetic motions are Cybex or Kincom machines. You may have run into them at PT clinics, and if you have access, please try them out. And we'll talk about these isokinetic concepts when we get into the force-velocity relationship. Another definition is isotonic. Iso, again, constant. Tonic is load, so it's a constant load throughout the contraction. And that's what we do with free weights. You pick up a 10-pound dumbbell, you move it through a range of motion. The 10 pounds is the 10 pounds. The torque does change throughout the motion, and that's because of the external moment arm. And then finally, just looking at rotary and stabilizing components of muscle force. Since our muscles are attached to 2 points, they're usually acting at an angle, which is why we did the resolution of vectors early on before force. And so typically you have the vertical component that rotates, causes a rotation or a torque, and a horizontal component that creates kind of a compressive load into a joint, or it can create a distracting load or a tensile load that would destabilize the joint. So here we're looking at the biceps brachii, which has a much different angle than the brachioradialis. Biceps brachii, the majority of the muscle force is acting in the vertical direction to create a rotator torque, as compared to the brachioradialis, which the majority of its force is going into the joint and creating compressive loading. Another example is the rotator cuff. Does the rotator cuff rotate the GH joint? And you can see here on the image on the left, the muscle force, they're angled at a very shallow angle compared to the GH joint. So the majority of the muscle force is creating a compressive force on the GH joint, which is good for stabilization, as opposed to the deltoid, which is the primary rotator, because it has a much larger internal moment arm, so it can create a lot of abductor torque.